Sports Minister, Mr. Nathi Mthethwa, has now sent a letter to Cricket South Africa saying that he will intervene with the embattled organisation. He writes that after numerous failed discussions with CSA, he sees no further value in talking. Well, he is going to speak to us tonight. In fact, we welcome the Sports Minister, Mr. Nathi Mthethwa, live to Sport at Prime this evening. Mr. Minister, thank you for your time tonight. This certainly has been a hot topic for quite some time, and many would imagine that you simply have had enough. I'd like to welcome you to the show and ask you first off, what level of intervention, Mr. Mthethwa, are you referring to when you speak about intervening at Cricket South Africa?
Well, good evening. Intervention we are talking about here is the law, which is the National Sport and Recreation Act. That's what we have. That, as you have just stated, that this matter has been dragging on for some time, partly because we've been trying to avoid government intervention. And we've done everything. We went back and forth trying to nudge Cricket South Africa, knowing very well that they've demonstrated quite clearly that they are incapable to self-correct. But we thought that some sense will prevail within Cricket South Africa, especially the board. And we've reached a point, painfully so, that there is no other option but to give notice for our intention to intervene. And that's where we are. And we took liberty to make a courtesy call to ICC, because we understand that ICC primarily wants to see good governance, wants to see integrity in sport, and well-functioning cricket all over the world. So we did indicate to them that this is the point we've reached.
Mr. Mthethwa, I will come back to the ICC, but it's that incapability to correct that for me is really scary. I read a report today from SACA, the South African Cricketers Association. They have repeatedly called for the entire board to step down at Cricket South Africa. Is that a sentiment that you agree with, that the current board should all step down?
Well, it's not only SACA. Generally, as I say, right from the beginning, people wanted us to intervene. And we resisted that because we believe strongly that sport and sport bodies should be capable to deal with their challenges, especially federations. And if they cannot, then the confederation, the mother body, SASCOP, has to step in. In this instance, SASCOP did. And SASCOP called for the board to step down. So it's SASCOP, it's SACA, it's people who are lovers of sport cricket. It's people who were practitioners, some who were players and others were administrators. There's always been a call. But as I said, we've painfully restrained ourselves to jump and rush into intervention. So we are going to see what is happening within these 2 weeks from the side of cricket, and then we'll take things from there.
Mr. Mthethwa, do you fear that Cricket South Africa might be kicked out of international competition?
Well, it's precisely the reason why, Mark, we have been, restraining ourselves, because with what is happening, and I'm sure that cricket, ICC, is not happy with what is happening. But I think that they should look at the bigger picture and listen to what this cricket nation is saying about cricket and about basically misgovernance from the point of view of the leadership, which cannot lead.
Mr. Mthethwa, the worst case scenario is probably quite an easy one, that cricket in South Africa goes into the doldrums, we get kicked out of international cricket. What is the best case scenario to come out of this situation?
Well, the best case scenario, we have interacted with Cricket South Africa. And we have tried to demonstrate that the interest of cricket should trump any narrow parochial interest of anybody, because the sport is bigger than any individual who is in sport. And we have said that we agree with the SASCOC in their determination of what needs to be done going forward. That would be a best case scenario. And we waited for that for the past months. Look, we've started engaging with Cricket South Africa since last year. We will not tire to engage with them, but we've reached a point that these engagements are now becoming talk shops. So therefore, we need to see something much more effective, which will take sport to the next level.
Mr. Mthethwa, please tell us more about the Dispute Act that we find in the National Sport and Recreation Act back of 1998. I believe that this allows you to ask the President of the country to establish a commission of inquiry should all resolving disputes be exhausted. How much of a reality is that?
You know, one thing which in our tenure we will avoid as always possible is inquiry commissions and so on. We will avoid that. We'll avoid that. We still insist even now, and that's why we've insisted over months and months that sport must be able to deal with its problems. But in terms of the Act, if the Federation cannot resolve its challenges, then SASCOC then comes in, hopefully to resolve such. And if SASCOC can't involve such and decides to take the matter to government, then the minister is empowered by the Act, the National Sports and Recreation Act of 98 to intervene. That's the last resort, Mark. That's not what we would want to see as something happening on a day-to-day basis in sport. We hope that somewhere there's going to be a lesson for sport, especially those who are given the responsibility to lead, to do just that, not make people miserable because they love their sport, but they can see that the leadership is not providing such.
Well, Mr. Mthethwa, so often South Africans say, let's keep politics out of sports. I think this might be the only time and the first time that we are saying thank you for bringing politics into sport. It certainly is very, very necessary. Our Minister of Sport, Mr. Nathi Mthethwa, giving some firm words on Cricket South Africa as how best to resolve this ongoing matter. Back